Alright, what is up, you guys? Continuing these SummerSlam reviews with SummerSlam 2004. So, here's the thing. I'm probably going to be in the unpopular opinion here, but I'm really not a fan of this pay-per-view. And mainly for the main event, which we will get to. But that kind of segues into my other point here. This is a very kind of forgotten pay-per-view. It's not very often that I hear people talking about SummerSlam 2004, and that's obviously because of Benoit. This is the taboo subject pay-per-view. And, it's not a bad pay-per-view, but it's one of those pay-per-views that just kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth. But, we had a decent opening six-man tag team match between Rey Mysterio, Paul London, and Billy Kidman versus Spike Dudley, Bubba Ray, and Devon Dudley. You had a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship, Edge versus Batista versus Chris Jericho. I feel like this match would have just worked better with Edge versus Chris Jericho. I just kind of feel like Batista didn't really need to be thrown in there kind of randomly. And I'm a Batista fan. But, Randy Orton was in the main event. Obviously, this was still when Evolution was, still the four of them. So it just kind of feels like they were like, let's give Batista a little bit of spotlight on this pay-per-view, so we'll just chuck him into the Intercontinental title match. And it just really didn't work as a match. And then we have the best of 5 series for the United States Championship. Booker T versus John Cena. Back when the mid-card title actually meant something. This is a good match. I love this era of John Cena. And you could tell he was really becoming something. He was being built. But you didn't quite know what yet. And obviously now we know, 15 years later. Which is also crazy to think this was 15 years ago. But, it's a good first start to the best of 5 series. If anything, though, I feel like this should have been the finale of the best of 5 series, being it's SummerSlam. It's your second biggest show of the year. Make this, that climax to the rivalry. And then we have Matt Hardy versus Cain, the Till Death Do Us Part match. Lita marries the winner. Okay. You know how much I love the Edge and Matt Hardy rivalry. I am not really a fan of the Cain and Matt Hardy rivalry. This, to me, was just corny. I mean, I like Cain and everything. I like a more masked heel Cain. But I think this is when Cain was just becoming a joke. And that sucks because, I love Cain. And, this whole, you had the wedding. God, this to me was not a good rivalry. A lot of people have fond memories of this rivalry, so I might be in the minority here. But I just feel like Matt Hardy and Cain really just didn't work together. And bringing Lita into it, obviously kind of publicly acknowledging Matt Hardy and Lita's relationship, I don't know. I just feel like this whole rivalry didn't work out. And in the end, really didn't do much for either wrestler, to be honest. Then we have Triple H versus Eugene. This worked. It had a really good build-up. And, this was kind of a big attraction for this pay-per-view, which may sound stupid, but for people watching this who were around for 2005, Triple H versus Eugene was kind of a big deal at the time. And, you're supposed to root for Eugene. He's the babyface. Triple H is the heel. In 2004, Triple H was a monster heel at this time. After his world title reign, 2003 and everything, he was a monster heel. And you kind of had that Rocky dynamic where you probably knew he wasn't going to beat Triple H, but there was a chance that Eugene could actually win. But obviously he didn't. And kind of a strange crowd here because they really took Triple H's side. I don't know if they just have something against retarded people, but hey, Eugene, honestly, he was always a very talented wrestler. In OVW and other companies, it kind of sucks he got stuck with the gimmick, but he really did make the best out of it, and he was able to show his talent, so credit there. Then we have Eddie Guerrero versus Kurt Angle. Another great match in their rivalry. You know, this match really felt like it meant something because they had a great rivalry leading into this. Obviously, they had a match at WrestleMania 20. So a few months later, just add to it. This to me is match of the night, hands down. Whenever you put Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle on a match, like on a pay-per-view, it's going to be one of the best matches of the night. And to me, this is the match of the night. It's not a classic by any means. I think I probably would prefer the WrestleMania 20 match personally, but this is a good one. Like, this really was a prestigious world title match, so they really hit it out of the park like they always do. They're two of the greatest wrestlers who ever lived. I expect nothing less out of these two. Then we have the WWE Championship, JBL versus The Undertaker. Here's my problem with this match. JBL obviously was a huge heel at the time. He was kind of a transitional champion because Triple H didn't want to work Tuesday nights. That's a fact. And he was a transitional champion in the fact that he was just holding the title for the next big baby face, which ended up being John Cena for WrestleMania 21. And he was a great heel champion. You may not like JBL, but he was a good heel. Like, one of the best in the 2000s. Maybe even the best. Who knows? But he got the disqualification win. Undertaker got DQ'd. And this is the pay-per-view where the fan almost fell through the top of the limo. So that's always entertaining because it was a gimmicked limo. And obviously the last ride through the roof of the limo. So it was gimmicked. It's, a little, I would think, a rubber covering. And a fan literally jumped on top of the limo. So that was fun. But, I feel like maybe JBL should have gotten a definitive win here. Because obviously he was getting all these disqualification wins, really cheating his way to be WWE Champion. But I feel like on SummerSlam, give him a definitive win. Because you can't just have a heel keep relying on dirty tricks. You have to make him a very believable champion at the same time as being dirty. It's like Ric Flair. One of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest. You believe he is the greatest, as well as having dirty tricks. He's the dirtiest player in the game. So maybe JBL should have gotten the win here. And then we have the main event. Chris Benoit versus Randy Orton for the World Heavyweight Championship. This pissed me off. Here's why. Chris Benoit is probably my second favorite wrestler of all time. Now, I think it's one of those things like Daniel Bryan and a lot of other wrestlers where, Seth Rollins, if you want to do something modern, Becky Lynch, where the chase is always better than them actually being champion. Daniel Bryan was huge before WrestleMania 30. But then when he won the title, what's there to chase? So he's going to cool down. Becky Lynch, in my opinion, is completely cooled down. And, so yeah, maybe his title run was over. Chris Benoit, he won the title at WrestleMania 20. My favorite triple threat match of all time. Versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels. But, come SummerSlam, he was cooled off. He wasn't quite drawing what they wanted him to. So they're like, all right, we got to drop the title. And they give it to Randy Orton. Which, I'm fine with Randy Orton. I love the legend killer early years of Randy Orton. But then you have him literally just lose the title to Triple H. To me, this match just kind of felt like it meant nothing in the end. You have the main event of SummerSlam. And it just feels like this match was just a way to get the title back on the Triple H. You know, you broke Evolution up at a time when I don't think they really should have broken up yet. I don't know. This, like I said, it just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. It's a good match. Randy Orton was great. You know, he was definitely a big player in the future of the company. But this match, to me, just didn't work on many levels, especially in hindsight. So that's kind of my mini rant. But if I'm going to give this pay-per-view a letter grade, I'm going to give it, honestly, I'm going to give it a C. So it's not bad, but it's very average. I personally don't really enjoy this pay-per-view all that much, and I think it's a lot of missed opportunities. It's kind of like 2005. I enjoyed 2005, but there is a lot of missed opportunities there. And these two pay-per-views kind of go one and the same for me. So let me know your thoughts down below and your letter grades. And for now, this has been the DVD Freak. Peace out.